Hello everyone and welcome to the 14th episode of the DualShockers WeebCast. I'm Giuseppe Nelva and I'll be your host as usual. If you're not familiar with the WeebCast, it's a weekly podcast about all things Japanese. Of course, the focus is on games, since DualShockers is a gaming website. But we also talk about anime, manga, Japanese geek culture, and a few tidbits about Japan in general. Today's episode is about a specific game series. If you know me, you also know that Muv-Luv is one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time. I'm certainly not alone in this, since many consider it the best visual novel series ever. If you go look it into places like VNDBE, you will see that it is super highly rated. Anyway, we'll get there in a bit, because of course, as usual, we're going to talk about the games we played, and the anime that I saw last week. I say last week. And actually, it's been 2 weeks since the latest episode of our WeebCast, because I took a little bit of a break. Why did I do that? I did that because I went to Japan. No, I did not. I wish I did. I actually went to Spain to visit Mercury's team, which is actually quite linked to Japan, because it worked on 3 Castlevania games for Konami and on a Metroid game for Nintendo, Metroid Samus Returns. They actually have a sensitivity that's quite close to Japanese games, and in fact, the game that they just made, their most recent release, which was Riders of the Broken Planet, has quite a lot of Japanese aesthetics mixed in. They just rebranded they're going to rebrand into Space Lords, which is nothing to do with Guardians of the Galaxy, and the game is going to go free to play. But yeah, I interviewed their art director, who actually cited quite a lot of anime for his inspiration, especially classic ones like Ghost in the Shell, Bella Angela Alita, and Akira. And you can if you look at his art, you can definitely see that. But anyway, so I visited Mercury's team, and I have quite a lot of interviews up there for that. It's not Japanese, but again, there is a little bit of influence from Japan, and it's a studio that works with Japan a lot. So, when it goes free to play on August 23rd, maybe you want to give it a try. I actually played it a bit when I was in the studio. The game was under my radar a lot, before, because other people were covering it, but I actually had a lot of fun playing it when I was there at the studio, so I'm definitely gonna try it, especially since the art is really fantastic for someone like me that enjoys Japanese artwork. In any case, that actually was most of the game playing that I did this week, but that was the reason why last week there was no WeebCast. But from this week on, we are going to restart regularly every week. Actually, next week, unless something unexpected happens, I'm gonna have a special guest in the WeebCast, but I'm not going to tell you who that is. It's gonna be a surprise. In any case, this week, that was most of the game playing I did, because I went 2 days to Spain, and then I had a lot of news to cover. There was San Diego's Comic-Con in the weekend. So I did play quite a bit of mobile stuff, because, that's what you do when you travel. Especially I played a lot of Number Fantasy, since, the summer event is out, there's bikinis and stuff. And there also was one of those galas that give you twice as much probability of getting an SSR. So I grinded a bit to get some crystals and to get some pulls there. And I got a couple of SSRs then, so I was happy. And I played some Conan Exiles again, because I like that, but it's still not Japanese. And I played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. That was most of my PC gaming besides Conan Exiles this week. And as usual, you know how much I love Final Fantasy XIV. And of course, I got to play quite a bit of Muv-Luv because I've been playing the PS Vita version of the games, the main 2 games that was just released by P-Cube. And I actually am already at Muv-Luv Alternative. I played Muv-Luv Extra and Unlimited before, and I'm playing Muv-Luv Alternative now on the Vita, and the experience is great. So I really like playing it on mobile. I'm actually hoping that it goes and that we get a Switch version. Not because I need it, because I already have the Vita version, but that would help the series get known by other people that didn't get it on PC or on PS Vita. So, especially probably give it a new renaissance in Japan, since the series it's been quite a while since we got a new Muv-Luv game. In any case, let's move on to anime. What kind of anime did I play? Sorry. What kind of anime did I watch? It's super hot, so my brain's a little mushy. So if I say something really, really stupid, please forgive me. I know you're very forgiving with me, so that's good. But yeah, there's been, we are right into the new season for anime, like the summer season, so there is a lot of stuff to play. There are a lot of stuff to watch. One of my favorite anime has definitely been Angolmois Gengoku Kasenki, which I really like, and it's on Crunchyroll if you want to watch it. It's basically Ghost of Tsushima, the anime, as I said in previous episodes. Of course, it's not the same story, but it's exactly the same setting. It's the invasion of the Tsushima island by the Mongols, the first Mongol invasion of Japan, and it's a good way to get ready for Ghost of Tsushima, like getting a little bit more acquainted with the setting of the game. But the series itself, I don't watch it just because of Ghost of Tsushima, because the series itself is really good. I'm enjoying it a lot so far. Another series that I'm really, really enjoying is Kyoto Teramachi Sanjo no Holmes, which is a mystery-ish, shoujo-ish series. I actually don't know if it's a shoujo or not, but it's really, really fun. I really like the expressivity of the characters, the interactions, and the way that, especially one thing that I really find it cute, the series is based in Kyoto, so most of the characters will speak Kansai Ben, which is the Kansai dialect from Kyoto and Osaka, and the main character, on the other hand, he is still from Kyoto, but he speaks Keigo. Most of the time, he speaks very polite Japanese, which is not like tainted by a dialect inflection. So there is a lot of formal speech, and the contrast between Kansai Ben and Keigo really make the anime fun to watch if you like Japanese, if you can understand a little bit of Japanese and can understand the difference. Another series that started in the 2 weeks while I was away, I didn't do any episode, was Yuraji Sono Yuna-san, which is from a manga on Shonen, on Weekly Shonen Jump, and it's a ecchi-ish, but more like on the shonen-ish version. It's not a seinen manga, so it's not like for adults, but it's more like the playful ecchi for younger targets. But it's a really fun series. I really like the interaction of the characters, and basically it's about a guy that's like super poor, but he has some medium powers, but his medium powers are not like exorcism and stuff, like anything formal. Basically, he exorcises evil spirits by punching them. So, yeah, and he gets into this inn because he is super poor. So, and this inn has a very low rent. It used to be a hot spring resort, and basically he discovers that everyone in this inn is some kind of a monster girl, or like there is also a ninja that hunts monsters and demons, and the administrator of the inn is she looks like a little kid, but she's of course 300 years old or something. So yeah, they went there. And the funny thing is that, and of course, since the rent is so low, that's because his room is haunted by this schoolgirl ghost. And he doesn't know why this girl why she doesn't pass on, and which one is the regret that makes her be bound to that room. But it's a really tender, fun, cute story. So I'm enjoying it a lot. Another one that I'm still enjoying quite a bit is Sunohara Sono Karenin-san. I haven't seen much of it yet, just the first 2 episodes, but that's cute. It's a very cute series. It's about a boy that moves to Tokyo from the boonies to become more manly, because he is really short and really girly in his look, so everyone kind of treats him like a girl. So, but of course, everything goes wrong. It's kind of funny. It's a funny gag series mostly. So that's a very light-hearted one. There isn't much in terms of really serious series this season. Another one that's I actually watched was Lord of Vermilion, Guren no Ho, which is from, of course, a video game, but that one really did not catch my attention. I watched the first episode and I was like, really? Nah. I'm probably going to watch a second one just to be sure, but I don't think I'm going to be really taken by that one, really. And then I believe one that really is catching me on the other hand is Anebado, which is the badminton-based sports series. There is a bit of drama, a little bit of sport, a little bit of comedy, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And I really like the art style. It's probably it's not as good in the art department as Megalobox, which was my favorite sports series last season, but it still has a very, very good art style, so I'm enjoying that part of it, and the story seems interesting as well. So that's it for anime. So we can move on to Muv-Luv. Muv-Luv, first of all, warning, there is going to be some spoilers here. I'm going to try to keep it to mild spoilers, but in order to talk about the further chapters of the series, there is going to be a little bit of talk about what happens in the first games, because otherwise it's basically impossible to talk about the plot of some of the games without hinting to what happened in the first Muv-Luv and Muv-Luv Unlimited. So keep that in mind. There is going to be some mild spoilers. I'm going to try to keep it mild. But if you really if you plan to play the Muv-Luv games and don't want any spoilers, you can stop listening here. I'm sorry if the episode was short for you, but to talk about Muv-Luv, a little bit of spoiler talk, it's indispensable, I believe. So Muv-Luv is a series. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the series in general. Muv-Luv is a science fiction series. So most of it, because the first Muv-Luv actually starts as a romance comedy harem visual novel. It was released for PC in 2003, I believe. And it actually includes Muv-Luv, the first game, and Muv-Luv Unlimited, the second game. They were released as a package. And they are still released the package now on Steam, and they've been released as a package on PS Vita. As far as I know, Muv-Luv Alternative, which is the third game, was supposed to be released with that package at the beginning. They were going to release Muv-Luv Unlimited, and Muv-Luv Alternative as one package. But then, let's say the Ajay, the developer of the games, is not exactly the best of keeping up with deadlines. So in the end, they ended up releasing the first two by themselves, and then waiting quite a lot actually to release Alternative, because Alternative actually was released, I believe, when was it released? Actually, I don't remember exactly, but it was quite a lot after the first game. So it was, people were waiting and complaining, and that's actually, it was released in 2006, so 3 years after the first two games. And that's actually a pretty common thing in the story of the Muv-Luv universe, the Muv-Luv franchise, because deadlines they're not good with deadlines. And if you know the history of the recent Kickstarter, that's still something that's still going on right now. But good things come to those who wait, and good things did come, because Muv-Luv is a really, really, really good series. Anyway, Muv-Luv starts as a romance story, romance visual novel in a school setting. So it could be the least original, the most banal, the most the most like common thing that you can think about. But thanks to the depth of the character design, the progression, the interaction, the way they are endearing and designed in a way that you make you care, even just that first game becomes special rather soon. But when you finish Muv-Luv Extra, which is the first, and you move into Muv-Luv Unlimited, which is the second, still part of the first Muv-Luv package, it pulls a complete 180 on you. The protagonist wakes up in his room. And when he walks out, and normally there was this thing that in the first game, he gets woken up by two of the girls that live with him. Like alternatively, they kind of have this competition to wake him up, because anime stuff, visual novels, like main protagonists always have this kind of thing that girls are interested in him for no reason, and this was even more true in the first Muv-Luv, because the protagonist really is a good-for-nothing idiot at the beginning of the game, which is part of the charm. We'll get there. But you definitely don't know why the hell these girls are interested in this guy, because like real girls would like run away as far as they can from this dude. You can understand Sumika, one of the two, because she is a childhood friend, so she's used to his antics and whatnot. But Meiya, the other girl, she's like a super rich, super like educated heiress of a Zaibatsu. So why the hell is she interested in Takeru, the protagonist? And you'll see by yourself. Anyway, when you get into Unlimited, it finds no one trying to wake him up, and he walks outside, and he finds his city destroyed. He lives in Yokohama, by the way. And basically what happens is that he walks outside, and not only the city is destroyed, but there is a mecha, like a broken, ruined mecha, crashed on Sumika's, his childhood friend's house. So he understands something really wrong. At the beginning, is like, oh my god, there is a mecha, oh, this is so fantastic, this is so awesome. He thinks he's dreaming. Then he goes to his school. He finds no one around, of course, and then he goes to his school and he finds out that this school is not his school anymore, and it's the base of the United Nations, and he's completely like baffled, because the guards at the entrance, they notice that he's wearing the uniform of the cadets that are training at this base, but he doesn't have a unit badge, so they immediately arrest him and he gets thrown in jail. Then when he after a while that he's being kept in jail, a woman that looks like his science teacher, but she is not the same person, comes in and pulls him out of jail. And but it tells her story, and this lady, she's actually a super genius, believes him, and basically we understand that he is in an alternate universe, and in which Earth is being invaded by a ruthless and completely soulless alien race that eats humans. And humanity is on the brink of collapse. They are fighting against this alien race with robots. The reason for that is actually pretty interesting, because among these alien races that called Beta, there is a class of aliens called laser class. And these lasers are able to hit anything flying in at miles of distance with inane precision, and one hit can destroy a fighter or bomber, whatever is flying, in one hit. So basically humanity had to completely change its approach to warfare, because while in our world air superiority is the key to winning in warfare, air superiority is not an option against these aliens, because they can simply shut down any airplane from miles away with complete impunity. So humanity put together its resources, and we're talking about the 60s, to create an alternative to planes. And that was the TSFs, or Senjutsuki, as they're called in Japanese. Basically, they are robots that normally hover just following the contour of the Earth. It's called NOE flight. So they're very low, and they can of course also walk, not just hover, and so they can avoid being destroyed by this laser class. And basically, the whole defensive effort of humanity is focused on these CSF. The problem is that they need skilled pilots to pilot them, and it's actually something pretty interesting in Muv-Luv, because Takeru gets enlisted as a pilot, as a cadet to pilot these, to learn to pilot these robots. But he finds himself in a squad of cadets that are mostly women. They're all women. The reason for that is because most of the men, this war against the Beta is going on for decades. So most of the men have already been sent to the front. They're already been killed. So all the cadets that are left are all women. So Takeru is the only man, and he's completely useless, because he's not the super talented at the beginning guy that you see normally in anime, because he is lived a soft life in our world, which is relatively peaceful, while these other people that he meet, that by the way, all these ladies that he trains with, they're all the equivalent in that world of his classmates. So he knows them, but he doesn't know them because they're different. They think differently, because they have lived in a world that is torn by war, and has been torn by war for ages. Like his drill instructor is Marimo, Sergeant Marimo Jinguji. She is the equivalent of his teacher. So he knows them, but he doesn't. They're completely different in the way they think, because the whole culture in this alternative world is based on the fact that humanity has been at war for decades, while in our world, humanity lives in a status of relative peace. So the whole setting is familiar and realistic, but on the other hand, alien in the way that people think. It's very much closer to like how people would think in World War II, for instance, because the whole set of ideals and ideas is forged by a state of constant warfare to avoid extinction. So basically, Takeru starts training with this group of people, and I won't tell anything else about Muv-Luv Unlimited because it would spoil it. But basically, what happens at the end of Muv-Luv Unlimited, something happens, and the game ends. The ending is absolutely fantastic. I won't spoil it, but something happens, and at the end of Muv-Luv Unlimited, Takeru finds the new game in Muv-Luv Alternative, which is the third game. He finds himself back at the beginning, where he was in his room, back in time, basically, back in alternative reality, before it wasn't listed as a cadet, but still in the alternative world where there is the war against the aliens. But even if he went back, he retained his knowledge of what happened, his experience as a soldier that he slowly and painfully gained during the second game, and even his physical fitness. So he is not the useless idiot that he was in the first game, and he is now a full-fledged soldier. So it sets about trying to do something to improve the situation. And now in the third game, he finally has the tools to, because he is a soldier that has been forged in this new world. So I won't tell anything else about the three games because I want you guys to enjoy them. But one of the things that are awesome in the series is the way in which Takeru matures from the first game to the third. Basically, it starts from a status in which he is the usual high school student, is not good, is not intelligent, is not smart, he has nothing special, but he still gets thrown into this world in which he has to adapt and to become a soldier. And through a lot of issues, problems, being a dead weight for his squad and all that, he finally managed to become useful. And that is like something that is very unusual in Japanese media, because normally we have this thing in which the protagonist is almost thrown into being a hero effortlessly. And on the other hand, in the original Muv-Luv trilogy, you leave is maturation from a completely useless high school student to the hero in a way that very few Japanese media do well. And you really, really start caring about him. And this is not even linear, because even when he is fully at the top of his form, still things happen that throw him down again. So I can't say much without spoiling, but his maturation from zero to hero is one of the most engaging things I've ever seen in an anime. But he's not the only character that progresses. Like, all the cast does that. And the fact that we have seen the characters, most of the characters in the first Muv-Luv, in a peaceful environment, just going about their life, their romance, and their usual everyday life, and we see them thrown into this war-torn universe. The game makes us scared, and then it hits us in the stomach like really hard when something really difficult happens. And it's probably one of the games of the game series that are most emotional in many ways, because it can be really, really harsh with your heart. Like I've known people that have been genuinely hurt by Muv-Luv Alternative, like the third game of the original series, because it does hit hard in many ways. Finally, I won't say much more because really about the first three games, because that would be a spoiler. So the thing is that Muv-Luv Alternative hurt so much that it's kind of a pity that, in a good way, like in an enjoyable way. I'm not telling that it's something that you will not enjoy. You will not enjoy it if you dislike harsh stories, I guess. Harsh, dark stories. If you dislike that, you probably will have problems with Muv-Luv alternatives, because the tone of the series goes from very bright in Muv-Luv to kinda in the middle in Muv-Luv Unlimited. In Muv-Luv Extra, it's very bright. In Muv-Luv Unlimited, it stays a little bit, it hovers in the middle. And then in Alternative, it becomes super dark, super tragic. Like, it's literally a 180 from Muv-Luv to Muv-Luv Alternative. And that's one of the charms of the series. That being said, the only 3 localized games are Muv-Luv, the Muv-Luv package, which is Muv-Luv Unlimited and Muv-Luv Extra, and then, Muv-Luv Alternative. After Alternative, there is a 4th game. Unfortunately, has not been localized yet, because the localized game are only the original Muv-Luv, so it's Muv-Luv Extra and Unlimited, and Muv-Luv Alternative. But there is a 4th game that is it's titled Before the Shimmering Time Ends, was published as part of Muv-Luv Altered Fable, which is a fan disc, on 2007, so right after Alternative. But the problem is that we're not getting Altered Fable in the West, because, as not many knew, Muv-Luv was originally a PC game, and it was ecchi. So it was a adult-oriented PC games. So what we are getting in the West, unless you patch it with the director cut, are the PS3, the console versions of the game that had the sex scenes removed. So there is a director patch on PC on Steam. Well, not on Steam, but you can apply them to the Steam version to restore those, of course. But the sorry, Before Shimmering Time Ends was was originally released in one of these collections that was an adult collection of games. But what they're doing for the Western market is releasing the console versions. So Before the Shimmering Time Ends is in one of those PS3 collections called Photo Melodies. There is Photon Flowers and Photo Melodies that gather most of the best ulterior releases that Muv-Luv got. But this means that we're not going to play Before the Shimmering Time Ends until Photo Melodies come out. And it's the second of those collection that's coming out. So it's gonna take at least until next year, I believe, because now AG and Xtil, sorry, it's not Xtil anymore. They changed their name in Anchor. They're working on Photon Flowers. And then there will be Photo Melodies. So Photon Flowers and Photo Melodies, they basically include what was included in many of the collections that were released on PC, save a few things. But yeah, Before the Shimmering Time Ends, basically it's the 4th game of the series. Initially they thought it was just a spin-off, but it's actually the 4th game of the series, and it was relatively recently revealed, and it's kind of a catharsis, because Alternative really punches you in the heart really badly, and Before the Shimmering Time Ends kind of gives you closure. But I can't really tell you how or why, because that would be a spoiler again. So just keep in mind, after you finish Alternative, that there is more, and that will give you closure, but it will take a little while to get there. So what can we expect from Photon Flowers and Photon Melodies? There's quite a bit, actually. So in Photon Flowers, we have another romantic game, which is Before the Sakura Trees Bloom. And then we get a few games, a few visual novels that are kind of short and give a wider vision on the Alternative and Unlimited world. So especially we get Muv-Luv Alternative Chronicles Atonement, Muv-Luv Alternative Chronicles Inheritance, Muv-Luv Alternative Chronicles Chicken Divers, Rain Dancers, and Confessions, which are really great because they give you a alternative view, and it's not actually alternative, it's the same word of alternative, in which you actually get to see what happens in other nations in the world of Muv-Luv while the beta are invading. So you get some set in Italy, some set in Europe, some set in many countries, and that's a great look, even because you get to see different cultures, different way of thinking, and they put a lot of effort in creating an entire world and a saga that makes sense as a whole. So that's it. After you finish Alternative, there is a lot to look forward to in Photon Flowers, and that continues with Photon Melodies, because we get Alternative Chronicles Aspiration and Resurrection, with our Adoration and Resurrection. And by the way, Adoration is one of my favorite because it looks at the European front, and and you get a German squad of TSF, which is the robots that I was talking about before, and that has some of the best characters of the series. So I really, really, really enjoy it. Sorry, it was Aspiration, but yeah, you got what I mean. In any case, and then at the end of Photon Melodies, you also get this Before the Shimmering Time Hands. So the thing is that so far in English we got only a little bit of the series. There is a ton more, and it gets really, really wide and really, really epic, really, really tragic in some ways as well. And there is more beyond this. There is things that because so far they announced only Photon Flower and Photon Melodies, but there is more. Because there is Total Eclipse, for instance, which is a kind of contemporary to Alternative, but what happens in Alaska. There is a squadron testing some new TSF, and there is actually an anime of this, which is also still called Muv-Luv Alternative Total Eclipse. So if you want to watch the anime, if you can't wait for the game, because we don't know if it's gonna be localized, I hope. But that one is also pretty good. And then there is more. There is the Muv-Luv Alternative Chronicles series, which is interesting because it has some of the contents. There have been 4 volumes that have been released so far, but it's not finished. I actually got confirmation from Ixtil or Anchor, not as they call now, that they're still focusing on continuing this series. And some of those appeared in Photon Flower, of the short stories that were in these collections appeared in Photon Flowers and Photon Melodies. But there is the Day After series, Muv-Luv Unlimited The Day After, and as the title says, you can see that it says Muv-Luv Unlimited. Basically, what happens is that this is the continuation of Unlimited. After what happens after Unlimited, and before Takeru finds himself back into his room at the beginning of Alternative, and this one gets really dark, maybe even darker than Alternative. So, and unfortunately, since it hasn't been finished in Japan, the Day After yet, there is no indication on how it will be localized. But I've been playing in Japanese, and it's absolutely awesome. I really love it. So this is the thing of the Alternative of Muv-Luv, is that it goes back and forth, and literally in the timeline in a way that sometimes it's confusing, but it's absolutely really fantastic because it gets into very, very interesting science fiction theories of alternative worlds that I can't spoil, but they get interesting. And in a way that sometimes you get into alternative, for instance, the third game, and you finally understand what the hell was going on with some of the scenes in the first games. Because it explains what caused those things that initially seemed strange and out of place. So it's really interesting and really engrossing to see how the game and the series kind of expands in a butterfly effect. More or less, they put a lot of thought into it, and it shows. And it's something that's rare, even for the best visual novels. But yeah, on top of that, there is more. Of course, I'm not done. There is besides some like comedic spin-offs, because there are some of those as well. They semi-recently released the Svartismarken. And Svartismarken is it's basically a prequel. It's set in the 80s, and it's set in East Germany. So basically, it's like super dark, following the story of an elite squadron of under the East Germany. So they have this very big shift in ideals because, of course, East Germany, even in these alternative wars, is a communist country. And you don't get much, of course, it's not super realistic, but you don't get much in terms of Japanese media that have protagonists living and fighting in a communist country. So it's a completely different view on the world. And it's really, really great. And there is also an anime for Svartismarken. So if you don't want to wait again for the localization, you can watch the anime. Even if, unfortunately, the anime only follows one route. So unless you agree with the heroine that's being chosen in the anime, and I don't, you're probably going to enjoy it a little less. Personally, I enjoyed the game actually it's two games because it's a series of two games. I enjoyed the games a lot more, because I was allowed to choose the heroine that I liked, which is, I can't understand how anyone could not choose her. But I guess that's the thing with most visual novels that have different routes. You can't understand why people would choose another route that is not your favorite, right? In any case, Svartismarken is a great look at a completely different view of the world. And it's really original in the fact that the protagonists don't only have to deal with the beta, because of course there are still the beta there, even if it's in the 80s, because the beta actually came in the 60s. So they don't just have to deal with this ruthless enemy that is attacking, but they also have to watch their backs against the Stasi, which is Stasi. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not German, and I read in German, I don't speak it. So, it's the secret police in East Germany that's like plotting to gain power despite the beta menace. So, there is it's kind of more of a mix between science fiction and spy story, you could say. So, and there is more. Yeah, there is more. There is plenty more mini games, short stories and stuff. But and actually they are also working on a new beginning, which is basically 80 years in the future. It's a plan for now, so we do not know exactly when and if it will be published, but the only thing they shown was a teaser book, like almost more a pamphlet. It's a few pages that were released I think last year, but it's just a setting book. So they show some characters, some TSF, which are more modern, of course, because they are 80 years after. It was also teased in Muv-Luv Alternative Strike Frontier, which is the recently closed mobile game, but we never got to see how that evolved because they closed the game. And they said that the setting for that will be published in a pamphlet that will be sold at Comic-Con this summer in August. I will actually try to grab that when I go to Japan, even if I'm not going to Comic-Con because I'm going to in September, but I will try to find it because I'm really curious. But in any case, the universe is ever evolving, even if the pace is a little slow because Ajay is slow as a developer. But there is so much to get. And I really hope that Anchor will localize everything sooner or later, because this series really is worth playing, like in its entirety, not just the main 3 games that we got so far. So we're getting Photon Flowers, we're getting Photon Melodies, which is all the short stories in different in different settings, and the fourth game-ish that kind of completes the main series before the Shimmer in Time ends. But again, we'll have to wait a bit for that. And then Anchor, which is the new name of Ixtil, which is the publisher, actually teased recently that they have a new project in the works. They did not actually confirm it's a Muv-Luv project, but I would be surprised if it isn't. So we may get an announcement of a new Muv-Luv game soon. I really hope so. And I am actually, when I go to Japan, I'm actually going to try and investigate if I can manage to get a interview with them. I'm not sure yet, but I will definitely try and see what I can dig about this. In any case, there is so much, and there are more elements that make Muv-Luv special, which is one thing that you would not really expect of a visual novel series is some of the best mecha design in a video game ever. And that is something Muv-Luv has in spades. The mecha design in Muv-Luv is one of the most fantastic I've seen in a long time. What they did was actually getting inspiration from real life jet fighters, because basically what happened, as I told before, is that the humanity went a different route because the jet fighters were not viable anymore against the beta. So they built this mecha, this TSF, but they are still inspired by the jet fighters that we have in the real world. Pretty much like the same designers went a different route because the jet fighters route was not viable anymore. So, and they are really good. Personally, behind me, I have a whole, actually 2 shelves full of mecha figures from Muv-Luv, because they're so good that I can't restrain myself. Every time I go to Japan, I come home with 1 or 2 suitcases full of these mecha, and they're super cheap because they've been released 10 years ago, so I can't hold myself. I actually had to pay overweight a couple of times because of those, and with my luggage, with the plane coming back. But yeah, the mecha design is one of the most fantastic that you will see, not in a visual novel series, in gaming in general, in media in general. Like, it definitely is on par with the best mecha anime that you can think about, like Gundam or Macross or whatnot. And it's surprising because in a visual novel in which you don't fight, because it's the usual visual novel gameplay, you would not expect such a refined mecha design, but we got it. And that's also makes the science fiction aspect of Muv-Luv really, really enticing. And so yeah, that's, if you like mecha design, if you like science fiction, Muv-Luv is definitely a series you should play. So yeah, I gave you an overview of Muv-Luv and why I really like it. There are a ton of other reasons, but if you want to get into the series, now in English, of course, now you have 2 ways, which is Steam. in which you can get both Muv-Luv, that includes extra and unlimited, and then alternative separately. And then there is the PS Vita version, which is also the same split. Extra and unlimited are in Muv-Luv. So if you buy Muv-Luv, it has extra and unlimited in them. And if you buy alternative, of course, it's alternative separately. Why would you buy one or the other? Well, more or less, the Vita, of course, does not have any degradation of the graphics because it's a visual novel. So yeah, you won't get any specifically better graphics on PC. What you do get on PC is the ability to install the director patch, the director cut patches, which add a little bit of restore the adult scenes that were cut from the console version, because as you probably know, on console they will not certify a game if it includes adult scenes. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you should probably buy the PC version and apply the Director Cut patch. Director Cut patch has a cost, so it's something you purchase separately. It costs $5 for each. So $5 for extra and unlimited, and $5 for alternative. So it's $10 more than the price of the game if you want it. I will have to give you a word of caution, which is that the sex scenes in the game really do not add much to the story. The story is perfectly okay and perfectly enjoyable without the sex scenes. It's really a bonus if you like that. Some of them actually feel a little bit shoehorned in because maybe the authors wanted to, please a certain crowd. I don't know. I don't like censorship at all. So I actually use the patches because I want to get the original experience. But if you don't care for that, do not think you're missing on anything, because you're not. The story, Muv-Luv, you play it for the story. You don't play it for the sex, definitely. You do not. It's simply such a inconsequential accessory to the game that unless you really care about that, I wouldn't even waste the $10, honestly. That's your decision, but that's really the only thing you get from the PC version. On the PS Vita version, of course, it's self-explanatory. You get portability if you have a PS Vita still. So the decision is really whether you want portability or whether you want the ability to restore these few, because there are few scenes, by the way, these few sex scenes that were in the original releases of Marvel Extra, Unlimited, and Alternative. Like, they're really, really few scenes, and they're really just an accessory, if you like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of Muv-Luv. Personally, if you don't hate visual novels, and if you like science fiction, because I think the science fiction is the most important, attractive part of the series, I think you owe to yourself to try and play at least Muv-Luv Extra and Unlimited. The full experience, I would not advise to play only Extra and Unlimited. I would advise to play all three. They're not super costly, so I think you can afford it. But definitely you should. You owe it to yourself to try them if you like science fiction. And if you don't hate visual novels. Okay, of course, they're visual novels, so you know what you're going into. You're not going into a super branching storyline, especially for Alternative, which is kind of linear. And you're not going into any specifically complex gameplay. But the story is absolutely fantastic. So I cannot recommend it enough. The only issue, again, is that only those three have been localized, so you're gonna have to wait for more. And if you play those three, I think you're gonna want more. So keep it in mind that you're gonna be there and wanting for more for a while before other games are released in English. Unless you do like I did. I bought everything in Japanese, and then I played in Japanese because I could not wait. So yeah, in any case, I definitely advise to try the original three games because they're great. They're fantastic. And that is it for this, for our main topic for today. So we can move on to the news. We have quite a few news. Actually, I'm going to get some older ones since I skipped an episode. One thing that, you probably already know is that Code Vein has been delayed to 2019. So they decided to keep it a little bit longer in the oven. I think they were a little bit intimidated by the fact that this fall was really, really crowded. And also probably the fact that, that they got some really positive feedback at various events, even E3. So I think they realized they have a winner in the stable. So they kind of want to release it in a period in which it's a little bit calmer, which it can get a bit more spotlight. And probably they also want to refine a little bit more so that now they have a winner, but they can have a real hit if they refine a little bit more and take a little bit more time with it. So I'm happy that I delay it. Because, I was a little worried that the release would close, and it would not get all the polish that it required. But now I think it's gonna get a little bit more polished, and it's probably gonna be a better game as a result. Sony's mobile subsidiary, Forwardworks, is going to release a new Arc the Lad game, a mobile game. It has the old stuff, so it's probably going to be worldwide, but it's mobile. And they're going to reveal it fully on July 30. So really in 1 week from now. It's mobile again. You're gonna have to swallow that pride and play it. That's what I am going to do. And, I wish it was console, honestly, but it isn't. Then, Sega shown some screenshot of the Yakuza 3 PS4 remaster, and, it shows, the ladies of the Hostess Club, including 2 new ones. The usual porn stars, JAV stars, and, this kind of puts to rest the rumors that this feature would be censored. Because definitely that there's not going to be any censorship of this feature if they're going to put new ladies into it. But we don't know yet what they're going to do with the Western release, because we don't even know. It's not even confirmed yet. So there was some kind of mention from Toshiro Nagoshi about that, but it hasn't been announced yet. But in Yakuza 3 was the first PS3 game, and back then they actually censored the Hostess Club part of the game. After that, they did not anymore. Sega actually redeemed itself with Yakuza 4, 5, and such, and included that part. So I think that is actually going to make it into the Western release. That's probably going to come. But we'll have to see. Ghostlight has released a PC version of Mary Skelter's Nightmares, Kamigoku to Mary Skelter by Compiled Heart. It's a pretty good dungeon crawling RPG with horror themes and lots of waifus as well. It's a Compiled Heart game, so you probably can imagine what it is about mostly. So yeah. We got a fantastic interview / mini documentary with Shigenori Soejima. Well, I say we got, but we actually just received it from the YouTube channel Archipel, which is the same people that worked on Toku Toku TV, which was they basically just rebranded the channel in Archipel, and it's the series is created by a French director, Anne Ferrero, which is her style is fantastic, and it actually talks a lot about Catherine Full Body, the remake of Catherine, but it also talks a bit about the new Studio Zero by Atlus, and we actually get to see how they enjoy some relaxation, like they build mecha like Ampla and stuff. So it's a very interesting interview / mini documentary. If you haven't seen it, go back, search for Shigenori Soejima, and you will find it, which is also, if you don't know him, is Personas, the character design in the modern Personas. So you definitely should watch it, because he is a fantastic artist. They revealed God Wars 2. We got the first character's image. God Wars 2 is not God of War, the one without Kratos. But it's the strategy RPG series by Kadokawa Games. It's actually directed by their president, Yoshimichi Yasuda, and it's set in Japanese folklore. Actually, this is interesting because the sequel is going to be set in the transition between the Word of Gods that was pictured in the first game and the Word of Men. So it's gonna be some kind of Ragnarok-ish, I'd say, theme in which the Word of Gods gets supplanted by the Word of Men. So I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. We got a new trailer featuring the opening cutscenes of Valkyria Chronicles 4, and unfortunately, what I suspected happened, which is that again we lost the theme song. So the opening cutscene won't have the theme song that the Japanese version had. It's gonna have just the BGM. So unfortunately, because the theme song was really, really good. I was a bit sad about that. They released a new official website for Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. It was a little bit of a mystery because some mock-up cover art had a copyright with 2019, so some people decided, even some site decided to report, oh my god, it's delayed to 2019. We don't know yet. It's a mock-up though, so I wouldn't put too much credit into a mock-up, even because the whole site still says 2018. And also the introduction says that it's gonna be 11 years after the release of the Ace Combat 6 Fires of Liberation, and 11 years is in 2018. It's in October, I believe. So yeah, we're probably gonna know more in August at Gamescom. We're gonna have I think we're gonna have a release date because the producer Kono-san said that it's going to be announced soon, and the game is going to be at Gamescom. Last time we got a big reveal, it was at Gamescom, so I'm guessing it's gonna be a release date at their Gamescom. So we'll know if it's going to be a 2018 release or delayed to 2019. I hope to play it soon, but if it's delayed to get a better game, as usual, you know my stance here, it's gonna be fine. Then, Cyborg Connect 2 gave an update about this trilogy of vengeance, which is Fuga, Tokyo, Ogre Gate, and Cecil. Basically, it's 3 games that they created, they pull out of a developer bash that they had in-house. They're going to come simultaneously worldwide in 2019 for PS4, Switch, and PC, and also Xbox One. So everyone's gonna get to play them. Yay. Then, we got plenty of new gameplay of God Eater 3. We actually saw for the first time the whole squad of NPCs in action. And most interestingly, there is going to be a new demo in Japan. Not a downloadable demo, but a demo event in Japan in September, at the beginning of September. That is actually going to have the debut of multiplayer. So, we're probably going to see footage from them pretty soon. And I'm guessing it's going to be playable at Tokyo Game Show then. They did not confirm that, but I think the game is going to be publicly playable there. I'm also guessing that probably we're going to get a release date at Tokyo Game Show, but again, it's not confirmed. It's my speculation. We got a release on Steam, a sudden release on Steam, of Galgun 2 by Inti Creates. So, they released that like suddenly, and so if you want to play that on PC, that's available right now. Then we got a returning character for Soul Calibur 6, and that's Voldo. Finally, it was leaked by Microsoft. Like, I think among the latest characters, Talim was pretty much the only one was not leaked. Like, every single card got leaked one way or another. The one was leaked by Microsoft Israel. They published the trailer early. So yeah, I think Bandai Namco with Soul Calibur 6 can't catch a break. Everything gets leaked. It's like a a leaking boat. They have like some really big holes in that boat. We got the reveal of Claire Redfield from Resident Evil 2's remake. We also got a rich collector's edition with the Leon statue, but this one is exclusive at GameStop and EB Games. And they also revealed some art. They revealed the box art, actually, which is kind of nostalgic but kind of new as well. We got a reveal of Digimon Survive, a new Digimon games that is about a boy and a girl that get lost in an alternate world, and they have to survive. And they say that the evolution of the Digimon will be related to the selection the player make. They didn't explain it, but it's pretty interesting. And I guess we can go full circle since we talked about an Arc the Lad for mobile, and Sega is teasing a new Phantasy Star JRPGs, and it's also for mobile. This one's gonna be revealed tomorrow. So yeah, well, there's that. I'm gonna play it. It's Phantasy Star, so I really want to play it, but it's going to be for iOS and Android. They didn't even tease the platforms. They didn't even keep them hidden. They just said, here is it. It's for mobile. Don't get your hopes up. It's not for consoles. So yeah, that's that. And that's pretty much it for the news this week. Again, sorry for the break. For next week is going to be again the regular programming. Once a week on Monday. Next week, again, we are going to probably have a special guest. I'm actually having to confirm if it's going to be on next week's episode or the week after. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you what it is because, of course, I want to make sure that it's in the bag before I shoot the trigger. I pull the trigger, but it's going to be an interesting conversation when it happens, which is going to be this coming week or the next one. I'm not sure just yet. So next Monday or the Monday after. Of course, we're getting deep into the season of events. San Diego Comic-Con just ended. We are going into Gamescom at the end of August. And I'm gonna be there. So I'm gonna have a lot of previews and stuff for Japanese games there. Because there is always a big Japanese presence at Gamescom. Definitely gonna try to play Ace Combat 7 because I know it's gonna be there already. And then there is going to be the big event. Tokyo Game Show is gonna be at the end of September. From, I believe, the 21st. On the 20th or 21st September, and for 4 days, and I'm gonna be there on the show floor, consuming my shoes, and trying to get all the news, the interviews, and the previews I can get for you guys. Because you know, Tokyo Game Show is my very favorite event of the year. As usual, I'm going to stay in Tokyo for a longer time. I'm going to stay in Tokyo until, from the, I believe 14th of September, I'll be in Tokyo until the 4th of October, in which I will I'm going to get a lot of coverage of Japanese games outside of Tokyo Game Show as well. So, I'm going to hustle to get you guys as much information and as much, interesting stuff as humanly possible. Beyond that, this episode is done. So thank you again for listening. Thank you again for supporting us. If you enjoyed this episode, please put a thumbs up on YouTube or anywhere you can listen to this podcast. Subscribe to the podcast, and if you have comments, please leave them in the comment section of the article in which the podcast will be embedded. Remember to be constructive, but if you have any suggestion for topics for the next episodes, also we're definitely interested in hearing them. But again, any constructive criticism you may have, any suggestion, we're very open to receiving it, because again, this is an experiment. I'm having to do it by myself. I'm a newbie for podcasting. I'm not an expert, so I'm definitely not perfect. I'm very far from perfect, but I still hope that you enjoyed this episode. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening again, and I'm off. Goodbye.